Ever walk into a room and scan it without even thinking? Where are the exits? Who's watching? Is it safe? You don't call it fear, you just say you're observant, cautious. Better safe than sorry. But deep down, your body's never really off, never truly at peace. That's not just a personality trait, that's hypervigilance. A trauma response that's quietly draining your energy, your joy, and your sense of safety in the world. What is hypervigilance? It's your nervous system stuck in survival mode. Hypervigilance is when your brain and body stay on high alert, always scanning for threats, even when there aren't any. It's like your internal alarm never got the signal that the danger is over. And it's not a choice. It's your body protecting itself the way it had to when things were unsafe. The science behind the feeling. When you've been through emotional or physical trauma, especially if it was long-term or during childhood, your brain wires itself for danger. The amygdala, your brain's threat detector, becomes overactive. The prefrontal cortex, the part that helps you calm down and assess reality, can go offline under stress. And your body pumps cortisol like you're always in a crisis. A 2014 study published in Frontiers in Psychology found that people with PTSD had significantly heightened activity in brain areas related to threat perception, even when nothing threatening was happening. That's why you might feel exhausted after a simple grocery trip, tense even when surrounded by friends, or startled by sounds others barely notice. What hypervigilance looks like in everyday life. You overthink every interaction, replaying what you said, worried someone misunderstood you. You sleep with one ear open, waking up at the slightest noise. You sit with your back to the wall in restaurants so you can see everything. You jump when someone approaches you from behind, even if it's someone you love. You can't fully enjoy vacations or rest days. Part of you is always on guard. And maybe you've told yourself this is just how life feels. But it's not how life is meant to feel. Why this matters? Hypervigilance steals your peace quietly. It convinces you that control is safety and that relaxing is dangerous. But the truth is that constant alertness was a shield. You needed it. Maybe you still do in some ways. But healing starts when you realize the danger is not here anymore. And even if your body hasn't caught up yet, it can. Bit by bit, the path to calm begins with awareness. The first step isn't to force yourself to relax. It's to notice, when do you feel most on edge? What environments or people trigger your alertness? How does your body respond? Tension? Shallow breath? Clenched jaw? Just naming these patterns is powerful. It signals to your brain, I'm listening now. I'm safe enough to notice. Gentle practices to begin unwinding. You don't have to meditate for an hour or go on a silent retreat. Try this instead. Ground yourself with touch. Place one hand on your chest, one on your belly. Breathe. Feel your body. Use visual cues, soft lights, warm colors, nature scenes. These tell your nervous system you're not in a war zone. Create micro moments of safety. A favorite song, a warm drink, texting someone who makes you feel seen. With repetition, your body will learn a new language. One that speaks not just of survival, but of safety, softness, and rest. You love them. You know they're not the ones who hurt you. And yet, you still keep your guard up. You smile, you care, you even share parts of yourself. But deep down, there's a voice whispering, don't get too close, don't get too comfortable. If you've ever felt this tension, craving closeness but fearing it at the same time, you're not broken. You're protecting yourself the best way you know how. Trust isn't just a decision, it's a nervous system issue. After emotional wounds, trust becomes more than a relational issue. It becomes a survival instinct. If you've been betrayed, abandoned, lied to, or let down by people who were supposed to protect you, your brain wires itself to be cautious, even suspicious. And the worst part? This mistrust often shows up most with the people you care about most. Because letting someone in now feels like handing them a loaded weapon and hoping they won't pull the trigger. Signs you struggle to trust, even in safe relationships. You question compliments. Are they just being nice? You replay conversations looking for hidden meaning. You test people, pull away emotionally, just to see if they'll chase after you. You expect the worst, that they'll leave, cheat, lie, or grow tired of you. You struggle to be vulnerable, fearing it will be used against you. These aren't flaws. They're protective behaviors. Your heart learned early on that love can be dangerous, so now it walks around in armor. The science behind your hesitation. According to attachment theory, early relationships form the blueprint for how we trust later in life. If you grew up with inconsistent or harmful caregivers, your nervous system may equate closeness with danger. A 2019 study in Current Opinion in Psychology shows that early attachment trauma is strongly linked to adult difficulties in intimacy and trust, even when current relationships are safe. That means your fear might not reflect the present. It echoes the past. The paradox: you want love, but you fear it. It's a painful contradiction. You long for someone who understands you, but when they get close, your alarms go off. You want to be seen, but being seen also means being vulnerable, and vulnerable once meant getting hurt. So instead, you keep a safe, emotional distance. You might joke instead of open up, change the subject when things get too deep, or even push people away before they have a chance to leave you. Not because you don't care, but because caring feels like exposure. How healing begins. The goal isn't to just trust more. That advice can feel invalidating, even dangerous. The real work starts with small, safe risks, choosing people who've shown consistency and letting them in inch by inch. Let someone do something kind for you and let it land. Share one vulnerable thing and notice how it's received. Express a need, even if it feels scary. Healing trust is a body process, not just a mindset shift. It's about retraining your nervous system to believe over time that connection can be safe. You're not hard to love. You're learning how to feel safe being loved. What happened to you wasn't your fault, and the way you protect yourself now, it makes sense. But here's the truth you may not have heard enough. There are people who can love you gently, who won't weaponize your openness, who will stay. You don't have to hand over all your trust at once. You only need to take the next small step towards someone who's earned it. I don't need anyone. I've got this. You say it with pride. And in many ways, you mean it. You've built your life on self-reliance. You handle your problems alone. You never want to be a burden. But beneath that independence, there's a quiet ache. Because sometimes being so strong feels more like being alone. Hyper-independence isn't always confidence. Sometimes it's survival. When you've been hurt, let down, or abandoned, especially in childhood, you learn one thing fast. Depending on people is dangerous. So you become the reliable one, the achiever, the one who never asks for help, not because you don't want support, but because somewhere along the way you stopped believing you deserved it, or that it would ever come. What this looks like day to day, you have trouble receiving compliments, help, kindness. You'd rather burn out than ask for assistance. You feel anxious when others get too close or try to care for you. You deflect vulnerability with jokes, logic, or silence. You pride yourself on being low maintenance, but deep down, you wish someone would just know what you need. This isn't just about being strong, it's about being safe. The link to low self-worth. Here's the paradox. The more independent you are, the more people assume you're fine, unshakable. But often, extreme self-reliance is built on a deep belief that you're not worthy of being held, helped, or loved unless you have it all together. Studies in trauma psychology show that children who experienced emotional neglect often grow into adults who suppress their needs because they were taught, directly or indirectly, that their needs didn't matter. So now, you meet your own needs not out of confidence, but out of fear that no one else ever will. The hidden grief of doing it all alone. There's a moment that hits many hyper-independent people like a wave. It might be after a breakup, during an illness, on a birthday, when you realize no one's coming to rescue you No one's checking in. You're always the strong one, and it's exhausting. And yet, even when people offer support, you might still say, "I'm fine." Because receiving help now feels unfamiliar, vulnerable, risky. But here's the truth. Needing people isn't weakness, it's human. Relearning how to receive healing begins when you start questioning the old script. What if strength also looked like letting someone see your mess? What if independence didn't mean isolation? What if your needs are not a burden, but a bridge to real connection? Try small experiments. Say yes when someone offers help. Let a friend in on something you're struggling with. Practice sitting with kindness without immediately deflecting. At first, it might feel wrong, even scary. That's okay. You're rewiring a nervous system that equated connection with pain. You don't have to earn care. You're worthy of it already. You learn to survive by being strong, and that strength got you here. But now, it's okay to want more than survival. It's okay to want softness, support, love that doesn't have to be earned by your independence. You can still be capable and also be held. You don't need to carry it all alone anymore. You post something online, a photo, a thought, an achievement, and then check again and again. How many likes? Who commented? Did they see it? It feels harmless, just digital habits. But underneath that screen refresh, there's a question your nervous system is quietly asking. Am I enough? This isn't about vanity, it's about being seen. If you grew up in a world where love was conditional, attention inconsistent, or achievements were the only way to feel noticed, then it makes sense. Validation became your emotional oxygen. Not because you're shallow, but because it was the only way you learned to feel real, valued, or safe. How this need shows up in everyday life. You constantly seek feedback, at work, in relationships, even for small choices. You fear disappointing others more than upsetting yourself. You over-apologize, even when you've done nothing wrong. You feel invisible or rejected when your efforts aren't acknowledged. You struggle to rest or take breaks unless you feel you've earned it. And maybe you've been praised your whole life for being driven, high-achieving, always on. But sometimes under that drive is a deeper craving. Please tell me I matter. The trauma roots of needing external proof. When emotional neglect, criticism, or inconsistent love shapes your early years, your self-worth gets outsourced. Instead of learning, I'm valuable just because I exist, you learn, I'm valuable if I perform, if I impress, if I please others. A study in Development and Psychopathology, 2017, found that individuals with unresolved childhood trauma were more likely to develop identity instability and chronic self-doubt, leading to higher reliance on external validation to maintain self-esteem. It's not attention-seeking, it's connection-seeking. The emotional cost of outsourcing your worth. Here's what happens when you live through the eyes of others. Your mood rises and falls with their approval. You lose touch with what you want because you're always adjusting to what others expect. You never feel enough because no amount of likes, praise, or validation can fill the emptiness that was never your fault to begin with. And when people don't respond the way you hoped, it can feel like rejection, even betrayal. What the science says. Research in Self and Identity, 2011, found that people with contingent self-esteem, meaning their self-worth depends on external validation, experience higher levels of anxiety, emotional instability, and burnout. Their emotional highs and lows track directly with how others respond to them. The more your identity depends on being validated, the more fragile that identity becomes. How to start healing. The antidote isn't to stop caring what people think. That's not human. The shift is this. Learn to notice when you're chasing validation, and pause. Ask yourself, what am I hoping this reaction will prove about me? Can I offer myself the affirmation I'm seeking? Would I still do this if no one noticed? Then, practice internal validation. Celebrate your effort, not just the outcome. Affirm your emotions. I feel this, and that matters. Speak to yourself the way you wish someone had, with kindness, not performance pressure. You are not a performance. You are a person, and you are already enough. Your value isn't measured in likes, compliments, or approval. It lives in your breath, your presence, your heartbeat. You don't need to earn visibility. You already exist. You don't need applause to matter. You already do. When you start believing that, even a little, the need for validation doesn't disappear, but it softens. And in that softness, you find space to just be. You finally have a calm moment. No deadlines. No drama, nothing urgent. You should feel relaxed, grateful, even happy. But instead, there's a knot in your chest. A whisper in your mind, did I forget something? Do I really deserve this? Joy feels unfamiliar, rest feels undeserved, and guilt creeps in where peace should be. When happiness triggers anxiety, if you've been through long periods of pain, instability, or survival mode, joy can feel unsafe. It's not because you're ungrateful. It's because your nervous system doesn't yet know how to trust the calm. Instead of soaking in the good, your brain starts scanning. What's the catch? Is this going to be taken away? Am I being selfish for feeling good when others are suffering? This is what trauma does. It wires your body to expect the worst, even during the best. The guilt of pleasure. Maybe you grew up in a home where joy was rare, or where happiness always came with consequences. Maybe you were taught to prioritize others, to work hard, to earn your rest. Or maybe the last time you let your guard down, something bad happened. So now when things finally go right, you feel exposed, vulnerable, like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Signs you might be carrying this silent guilt. You overwork to justify rest. You downplay your successes to avoid seeming arrogant. You feel uncomfortable during moments of ease or celebration. You sabotage good experiences because they feel too good to be true. You compare your happiness to others' suffering and feel unworthy. These aren't signs of ingratitude. They're signs of trauma still living in your body, quietly questioning whether you're allowed to feel good. The psychology behind this pattern. Research from the Journal of Traumatic Stress, 2016, found that individuals with complex trauma often experience positive emotion dysregulation, meaning their nervous systems can't fully tolerate or trust joy, excitement, or even affection. That's because, for many survivors, positive experiences have been historically linked with danger or loss. So the body associates feeling good with risk. Your guilt isn't a flaw. It's a signal from a body that once had to be alert to survive. How to slowly reclaim joy. You don't have to force yourself to just relax. Start with permission. It's okay to feel good, even if others are struggling. Rest isn't earned, it's necessary. Joy doesn't mean I'm forgetting my pain. It means I'm healing. Then, practice safe joy in small doses. Light a candle and enjoy the scent, guilt-free. Let yourself laugh at something silly and breathe through the discomfort. Sit with a peaceful moment and say aloud, "This is allowed." Over time, your nervous system learns a new truth. Joy isn't dangerous. Peace isn't punishment. Good moments don't need to be paid for. Joy is not betrayal. It's medicine. You've lived through enough. You don't need to keep proving your worth through pain. You're allowed to feel lightness, to rest, to enjoy small things without guilt gripping your chest. Joy is not something you take from the world. It's something you create within it. And every time you allow yourself to feel it, you honor your healing. Maybe you saw yourself in one of these signs. Or maybe all of them felt like home. That's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign you've been carrying more than most people ever see. You've survived by staying alert, by not trusting too easily, by proving yourself again and again, by carrying it all on your own, and even by silencing your joy. But survival is not the end of your story. You deserve more than just coping. You deserve ease, softness, connection, even if they still feel unfamiliar. So let's take a moment. Breathe. Notice your shoulders. Are they tight? You've been holding so much. Place your hand on your chest. Feel that heartbeat? That's your body. Still here, still fighting for you, even when you forget to fight for yourself. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're becoming. What healing really looks like. It doesn't happen overnight, it's not always pretty, and it definitely doesn't follow a perfect timeline. But it starts with noticing, with saying, wait, maybe this isn't just my personality. Maybe it's pain that never got seen. And from there, the journey begins. One honest, gentle, and deeply human step at a time. If this video spoke to you, your story matters. Leave a comment and tell us. Which part hit home for you? Or simply share where you're watching from. We'd love to know. You're not alone in this.